B2C, right? Okay, if I'm going to sell it to this Bhubaneswar market or Odisha market or Andhra Pradesh or West Bengal market, right? So the price of this laptop will be around 52,000 MRP. On that, taxes plus GST and all those things will be applicable, right? Depending upon the tax structure. But the same laptop, when this vendor is selling it to a B2B customer, right? Think about universities, think about different IT offices, think about different government offices, and there will be bulk purchase of 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 units, right? Prices for different customers will vary, right? Because sometimes there will be certain accessories requirement, there will be sometimes additional warranty requirement, right? So these prices most of the times in B2B sector, what we have seen here is here kind of keeps changing or customized. I'll not say keeps changing, it is basically customized as per the business you are kind of serving, right? And that is a significant difference when you are talking about B2C and B2B. For each of the customer you are serving, your prices might vary. Not necessarily it will always vary, but might vary, right? And what are the different pricing methodology we'll discuss. If you have gone through the recent news, this is the first time on last I think 14 or 15 years, right? Matchbox prices are rising. So we can discuss in a later point of time why there is that much gap in raising the prices. After 14 years, last time the matchbox prices was changed from 25 paisa to, sorry, 50 paisa to 1 rupees. Before that, it was back in 1995, right? Almost in a gap of 12 years, it was changed. Then right now, after 14 years gap, we are changing it to, or not we, basically the manufacturing association of matchbox, and they are setting the prices from rupee 1 rupee. जो small boxes आता है, small 50, I think the whole 40 or 50 matchsticks, it is going to change from rupees 1 to 2, right? So why I'm giving you that example, obviously matchbox is a B2C, right? People like you and me, all of our homes, there will be all these matchboxes, right? But why it is changing if you look into the region, right? And whatever they have given in that press release, right? So there are around 14 items which is required for your single manufacturing of one matchbox, right? And these are the few of the raw material which is required to kind of manufacture this matchsticks, pack it in a matchbox and sell it to the final customer. If you see, all of the prices have increased in the last, obviously there is a 14-year cap, obviously those changes, there will be changes, but within last 2 to 3 years, there are a lot of changes has happened. The red phosphorus, which is on the top, right? So it has changed from 425 rupees to 810. Similarly, the wax, which is again required there, 58 to 80. Outer box port, which is then the inner box port, all of them has changed significantly, right? All those 14 items which has changed. So see, the changes in the raw material, right? These raw materials is going to the matchbox manufacturers, right? So these prices are being by the B2B, right? One company is selling that product to another company, right? So any change in the B2B pricing is going to impact your B2C pricing, right? So this is how your B2B pricing, because see, one vendor, one organization is selling their raw material or component or any kind of product they are manufacturing, right? Or services also, right? Selling to the different organizations. And most of the time, those organizations will be selling to customers like you and me. Any change in the initial pricing B2B is going to significantly impact our B2C pricing. Right now, what has happened? Because there are a lot of changes in the last 2 to 3 years in the different raw materials which are for matchbox manufacturing. Now, after 14 years, they're going to change the prices of matchbox, which is going to obviously maybe not in our households, right? But if you look into the poor families, there will be certain impact, right? So that is the way your any change in B2B pricing is going to impact your B2C pricing, right? Then how do you decide, or what are the factors basically? It can be again applicable for B2C also. Obviously, the first factor or the most important one is the demand factors, right? Elasticity of, yes, Jatin.
Sir, in B2B pricing, so suppose I am selling a laptop with the same specification to a company and the same specification to another company. then the pricing should be same or different?
Pricing will be customized, right? Depending upon what is the volume, what is the conditions the customer is putting,
Means
right?
I am selling, if I'm selling 5,000 laptop to give to that same specification to any IT company with same amount, then pricing should be same or different, or it depends upon the bargaining power of the other party, means
It depends
customer.
upon a lot of factors. Whatever you are looking into this picture, all these factors will impact. Where you are selling it? Are you selling it in the same state? Because taxation will vary. Is this a first time buy or he is your regular vendor? Let's say Lenovo or Dell, if they have been supplying to kit for last 10 or 15 years, that will be a separate scenario if they're selling it for the first time, right? Because in first time, whenever somebody is selling into the first time company, right, they try to put your prices low so that you have to put in the door, right? So a lot of factors are there. Taxation can be one outside factor. Your sales strategy can be one inside factor. How you are selling. Then obviously the volume. If even with the volume remains same, what is your kind of final usage? In the IT company, it is the employees. In here, it will be the students, right? Whether you need a 1 year warranty or 3 year or 4 year of additional maintenance contract, right? So there are a lot of significant other factors which is listed here, right? Some factors will remain same because if it is the same laptop, right, cost and all those things might remain same, but other factors will keep changing, right? Other sales strategy or how many competitors are there. If you are, let's say, competing with uh, five different laptop manufacturers, right, then you have to look into at what price they're selling, right? So that's why your prices, even with the same specifications, same number of volumes, will be impacted by different kind of factors, and it might be different, right? So there is no
Okay, sir.
standard pricing. So demand factors, obviously, that is the big kind of factor which will impact your pricing objective or pricing strategy, right? How many people are there who are willing to buy your product, right? Then cost factors. So think about the same thing what Jatin was asking, laptop manufacturer, right? If you are manufacturing inside India, inside the, let's say, same state, or you are importing the components and just assembling it somewhere in Pune or somewhere in Chennai, right? So your cost factors will significantly change. If you're manufacturing in-house, every component is sourced inside, everything is inside the boundary of India. Your cost factors, taxation, so that is again a significant factor, right? Long term, somebody has to build a financial use case. If I'm going to import all the component, starting with your processor, RAM, hard disks, everything from outside, right? What will be the cost implication? Because hey, your custom duty and all those things, if I'm just importing 100 rupees worth of material, custom duties, excise duty, everything included, then insurance included, it will be around 40 to 50% is more. If I'm same thing, if I'm sourcing inside, that might have a 10 to 20 percentage of additional cost, because again obviously there will be taxes inside India also. But see the difference, same component, if there is a chance to source inside India, right, so the price difference will be, or the cost difference will be around 20 to 25 percentage, right? And that is where most of the manufacturers in India struggle. We do not have many raw material component manufacturers in India. Most of the times we are kind of dependent on outside countries, and that is where maintaining a competitiveness in India market for the Indian manufacturers is very difficult, unless it is very small items. Though there are a lot of kind of labo is going around your make in India, still we are like not in that position that a lot of components. If you think about any product, right? Lot of components are basically outsourced, lot basically imported, not outsourced, imported from outside India, even if in the small components. Though last 5 to 10 years, situations have changed, and to like kind of many factors, people have started investing in manufacturing, right? Uh, and that is a like kind of the very like kind of unfortunate situation for a country like India, where we do not have lot many components, lot of very less manufacturing capabilities, right? Then there is competitive factors. Same product, same laptop, same mobile phone, same whatever product you are selling to a competitor, right? Or the vehicles, right? If there are a lot of competitors, right, you will be getting into a challenge. Think about Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, Mercedes, Bench, Bharat Bench. They are selling the heavy commercial vehicles to Indian Army, right? If it was only a single manufacturer, earlier what used to happen back in 90s, 2000, up to that point of time, most of the vehicles were manufactured by only one or two vendors. So whatever they manufacture, they'll sell it at least for those vehicles which was being sold to Indian Army. Now, last 5 to 10 years, it has changed. A lot of companies are coming up and who are manufacturing those kind of defense vehicles, right? That is where once competitions, outside competitors with better technology, better manufacturing setup, they come to India, they try to sell their product, right? You have to set your price accordingly. Earlier, what used to happen, you have a monopoly in the market, or there might be another one more player, duopoly. So you can say that, okay, we'll set the prices. Now, what happens if there are 5 or 6 competitors? You cannot be the again same prices. You will not able to sell your product. Then legal factors. There are kind of challenges. You cannot like if you are the market leader, and that is where a lot of legal challenges come. So suddenly you cannot change your prices to very low to capture the market, right? Other companies might uh, put a legal notice on you, right? So you are like discriminating against them, right? See, that is a tricky issue. Uh, you can show always your price competitiveness, cost competitiveness, but suddenly you cannot make loss and start selling your product at loss, right? If you continuously do that, maybe for 1 quarter or 2 quarter you can do that, but if you are continuously doing it to just to capture market share and eat out your competitors, right, you might get into this kind of legal price discrimination issues, right? Then vertical restrictions, there will be some challenges across different states, across different channel, right? You will not able to sell certain products across certain states, across certain domains, across certain industries. Mostly in B2B cases, manufacturing companies, right? Company or the legal system or the country will have a uh, they'll put certain rules that okay, you cannot import certain materials from certain countries. So those kind of challenges always remain, and accordingly your prices will change, right? uh, in case of refining oil, we require certain kind of process chemicals, right? So which goes around manufacturing the basically processing the oil, right, from the crude oil to the petrol and diesel. So what happens, this there are very few kind of companies in world who manufacture those or who have the patent to process, or who have that kind of technology or chemical processes what they have, right? One of the biggest challenges for the companies in India, right? Reliance is little better in that way. So they had tie up with British Petroleum earlier, and they were able to acquire that technology earlier. But for the Indian companies, IOCL, BPCL, HPCL, they used to have that huge problem. You see what happens. Though right now petrol is, I think 101 or 102 rupees, right? Generally, what happens? You get that crude oil. Obviously, crude oil prices vary. Sometimes it can be $40 to sometimes it can be $150, right? Your refinery, gross refinery margin, which is a GRM, right, is mostly dependent on how efficient your refinery is, right? So, what do you mean by efficient? From that same crude oil, 1 barrel, whatever 156 liter around, right? How much petrol, diesel? Basically, these are the like price items, right? Petrol, diesel, then ATF, that turbine fuel. So all these, how much you are able to extract from it, right? If you have a very good technology, very good chemical process technology, your productivity will increase. The amount of oil you are getting out of that crude oil will be much more. So that what will happen. You once your productivity improves, right? Your cost basically is decreasing. Cost per liter of petrol or cost per liter of diesel decreases. That is where you can put your margin. Think about in this way: if I have 100 liter of crude oil, out of that only I can extract 10 liter of diesel, 12 liter of petrol, right? So my efficiency is very low. because out of that 100 liter I'm only getting 20 to 30 liter of useful. Obviously everything whatever is in the crude oil it can get into tar, but those are very low premium products. What I want is from that 100 liter of crude oil, can I get much more of petrol or much more of diesel, right? And that is where your chemical technology or the process technology which is developed by the big companies. Linde AG is one of the companies. Dow Chemicals, DuPont is another two or three companies who have that kind of technology, right? And by getting that, what happens if you're able to get that technology, right? Your productivity. So right now you are just getting 20 to 30 liters of petrol. You can increase. I'm again just giving an example, 35 to 40 liters. So what happens from the same amount of crude oil, you are able to get much more of high premium product, and accordingly your cost will decrease. Then whatever you are selling, your profit margin will increase, right? But in that case, what happens if you do not have that technology and you are competing with, let's say, British Petroleum or let's say Total Oil, right? They might be selling the product at the same price, but they'll be getting much better margin, right? And that is where most of the Indian oil companies used to struggle. Right now the situation is little better. Then trade factors. Think about the same example. If I take, I think one of your senior came a few days back. He is there in Reliance and British Petroleum. He is right now in Vadodara. So for 1 liter of petrol, I think Reliance is giving around 1.8 rupees or 2 rupees, right? Where other kind of companies, Indian Oil or Bharat Petroleum or Hindustan Petroleum, they are giving around 2.3 or 2.5 rupees. And that is the challenge happens, right? If I'm getting a better margin, my distributors, my dealers will move into different, and same situation arises for your B2C also, right? So how much power you have on that trade kind of your trade partners or the channel partners, and most of the power comes from this pricing. If you're able to negotiate that pricing, how much margin you will provide to your channel partners, right? And it is obviously has to be a win-win situation, right? If they feel that they are at a loss and they are getting less price, now or sometimes in the future they'll move into the competitors, right? And that is somewhere your pricing has to dependent on how much discount or not discount, how much margin you are providing to your channel partners. So that is where trade factors or trade issues will come into, right? So it is not a single issue that okay, I'll set the price and that's it, right? Lot of factors keep changing it, and everything is dynamic, right? Accordingly your prices keep changing, whether it is B2C, B2C, B2B. Only major difference is B2C, when I set a price of a milk uh, carton or a, let's say, chips packet or a 5 kg atta, right? Most of the times it will remain same, and depending of the taxation, final prices will vary. But whatever I am setting from the company's point, right, it is already printed on the packet, right? But when I'm talking about the same atta, same thing when I'm selling it to a different B2B companies, right? Same atta I can sell it to hotels also, right? The prices won't remain same. Prices will vary. If I'm selling it to a 5 star or a 3 star hotel, the prices which I'm selling it, obviously the bulk amount will be two. If I'm selling that to, let's say, military canteen, the prices will be different. Same atta, right? So that is where the difference comes. But once I'm selling it to a B2C, it is already printed on, let's say, 5 kg atta, Asirvad atta, it is around 250 or 280 rupees, right? Then on that, whatever channel they will get their margin, and whatever discount, taxation after going taxation gone, they will get the final price, right? And that is only dependent on the state taxes. But from the mine side, from the company side, price has been set. But when I'm selling the same atta, same whatever product I'm selling it to B2B companies, organization, right? The prices will be customized. Prices will depend on lot of factors. Any doubt or any questions on this? Then some other factors which was not mentioned in the previous slide. Satisfied customers are less price sensitive. So this was something like which Jatin was asking, right? If I take that same example, right? If I have a kind of um, relationship with that organization for last 10 years, and again I'm going to sell the same laptop to that organization, right? And they are very happy with my services, my products, right? So whatever price I tell, the negotiation will be easy. It is not that they're not going to bargain, but they'll be less price sensitive. But if it is a new person, new organization whom I'm going to sell my product, right, there will be always a challenge, there will be always a they will be much more price sensitive than my loyal or regular customers, right? Second aspect is switching cost, and switching cost is a significant in this kind of software industry. Think about any company who is using a ERP system. Think about these banks who are using certain kind of ATM technology, right? Certain kind of softwares to manage their banking processes. It is not possible suddenly to change from next year I'll change, right? It is not at all possible. Even in our human kind of B2C kind of setup, we are already, if I'm using this Windows, suddenly it is very difficult to move into Mac. Or if some of you are using Apple iPhone, you will not move into Android or vice versa, right? So that is a habit formation which has happened with certain kind of technology, right? Most of us which who are kind of acquainted with Windows will find difficulty to move into Mac. And same thing will happen if somebody is using Apple MacBook, they will find difficulty to move into your Windows system. And this is a significant issue in B2B industry. Think about the software what a company is using. Think about different processes they are using. Most of the companies have implemented ERP system, right? And ERP system can be, there are very like big vendors, Oracle, SAP, JD, right? There are many companies who are providing those ERP systems. But what happens once you have implemented ERP system? Obviously, it is a huge investment of crores of rupees. You have trained your employees. Suddenly, it is not that next year I'll change, and so that's why that decision takes a lot of time. Think about a manufacturing industry. They have put a manufacturing automation system. Once they put it, suddenly next year they cannot change it. It will take 10 or 15 years, then only they will be able to change that. Because it is a lot of cost to put a manufacturing automation or warehouse automation. Let's say Amazon warehouse has put a warehouse automation system that will be into 50 or 100 crores of rupees, depending upon the warehouse size. Suddenly they cannot decide that okay, it is not working, next year I'll go move into other system. Your warehouse manager will be fired. Then that is the problem with switching cost. And B2B, that is one big advantage. If you're able to get your foot in the door and you are able to sell your product, right? These kind of mostly in the software and processes, right? Which you know that right now we are using this SAP in our kit. Suddenly we cannot move into Oracle or JD system. So we have been using a whatever, whether advantages, disadvantages, we have to keep using for a near future, right? And that is where your B2B marketing or sales and marketing guys have a little bit of advantage. In B2C, it won't happen. Certain like technology, certain kind of this kind of, like I said, Windows, Mac, or Apple, you are using Apple iPhone to change it to Android. There might be little bit of, but it is not a significant issue because again people are switching. But in B2B, it is a significant issue. If you are using certain kind of product, uh, hair oil, a deodorant, and all those things, right? People do keep changing, right? It is not, some people will keep always following the same product, same services, but there are people who will keep changing. But in B2B, it will be most of the companies will not be able to move into a new product, new services suddenly. Think about automobile companies. In all their cars, if they're using certain kind of tires from certain manufacturers, suddenly next year they cannot decide that we'll get into the new tire manufacturer, new windshield manufacturer. It is very difficult and obviously costly, right? Because all your manufacturing setup, all your assembly line setup has been made according to that raw material vendor. So that is where in B2B it is strategic partner or strategic sourcing rather than just a supplier. It is a long-term relationship rather than a single year or 1 year or 2 year of relationship, right? Then end use, who is going to use your product, right? How significant that component for the supplier, right? For the final organization. Think about the engine manufacturer who is selling their engines to so that this example we have discussed, right? For aircrafts, Boeing or Airbus, very few manufacturers of air engines, jet engines are there, right? Rolls-Royce is the big company, right? So it is just because engine itself is a big significant component of price of your aircraft, right? But same thing when I talk about a small component, criticality wise and price wise, it will have a very less impact on your final product. And not necessarily in a single year, but your organization can move into other competitors, other vendors, right? So that is where you have to decide on which, like whether you are a very critical component manufacturer. Like if I think about SAP or TCS is providing this banking software to SBI. Right now the deal is renewed for next 10 years. So because they are a critical software, because SBI has been using this software for last 10 or 15 years, they'll keep using that for a longer time. But it might not be true for a printer manufacturer. If all the offices in SBI or all the banks are using certain printers or certain papers, obviously they can next year they can change the printers to another manufacturer, right? It will be costly, but it can be changed because that is not a criticality. That is not a very critical component in banking operations. Normally your printers or scanners, but yes, banking softwares, process softwares, whatever you are using is a significant critical component. They will not be able to change just within 1 or 2 years. It takes a lot of training, lot of installation, obviously capital, to change from one process or one software to another, right? Then end market focus, where that product are using, right? Tire companies, right? The same tire companies, when they are selling it to the this F1 race manufacturers, right? Or the, so where the tire is getting used, right? Accordingly your prices will be changing. If it is being used by the F1 race cars, that component, that product itself will be completely different, prices will be completely different. One where the single tire cost will be much more than a standard sedan or a car in India. Those are that much costly. In F1 race car, if you look into those prices of a tire, it will be comparable to whatever your car cost in this, at least in India, right? So that is where your product is getting used, who is buying your product, right? Accordingly, your product need to be designed, and accordingly, prices need to be set to the final customer. Any questions on this? Setting the price. So these are the few considerations you have to make before you finalize your price. Pricing and profit objective. How much profit do you want and what is your objective? Pricing objective, like I said, pricing objective might be to capture the market share. Pricing objective might be to enter the market, to get a foot in the door, right? Pricing objective might be to eat out competitors, which again might not be possible in a longer run, but in a shorter run, companies do that. They will drop down their prices so that the competitors will suffer, right? So what is your pricing objective, right? And how much profit you are trying to, because that is something your board of directors or your company will be looking into, right? Suddenly you cannot reduce your prices so that next year your share prices are suddenly down, right? Demand determinants, a lot of prices on whether B2B, B2C will dependent on demand characteristics, whether the demand for that product is, COVID happened, a lot of think about automobile. Automobile, suddenly the number of cars being bought by the Indian customers drop for those initial 5 or 6 months. Then again, suddenly it increased, right? Cost determinants, like I was giving that example of a matchbox pricing, right? It is only for the, because raw material prices have changed in last 6 to 8 months. So significantly it has changed. That's why they're going to change the prices. After 14 years, they're going to change the prices of a matchbox. Then obviously competition, right? It will be rarely it will happen that you are the single monopoly in that market, right? Very few companies are there, whether it is B2B, B2C, who can claim they have a monopoly, right? So you start with a strategic pricing objective, right, for each of your product line. Estimate demand and price elasticity of demand. At each demand, right, if I increase my prices, how much demand is decreasing, right? Obviously, If I start increasing my prices, demand for the same product will decrease, right? From my company. Determine cost and relationship to volume. This is again an important factor, right? Think about a Maruti, right? Maruti is selling automobiles to customers like you and me, right? When they are buying the components from the component manufacturers, they also have a deal, right? If I buy this many engines, if I buy this many tires, this will be the price. So they have a agreement with the raw material manufacturers to buy certain number of components, certain number of uh, products at the like in that year, right? If my demand, final demand from the customer is decreasing, and so here also I'm trying to decrease the number of components I'm buying, my raw material manufacturers will start increasing their prices. So that is a loss situation in both the ends, because most of the times whenever you have a agreement or a tender or a final purchase order, right, those prices are defined by the number of quantities you are going to buy in a year. If suddenly I decrease, in that there will be a clause that if I reduce the quantity by 10%, price will increase by 8% or 6%. Most of the times it will be written in the contract. So that is something you have to make a judgment on. Can I reduce the number of quantity which I'm buying from the, because see, they will make a loss. So they have got a contract from you to manufacture, let's say 10,000 tires or 50,000 or 1 lakh of tires. Suddenly next quarter you come back and say that, okay, no, there is a huge due to COVID, demand is less from the final end customers. So I won't need 50,000 tires in this quarter, reduce it to half, 25,000. So that company is going to make a loss. MRF or whichever C8 or whichever company, JK Tire, whichever company is selling those tires, right? And that is where those things need are governed by the contractual agreements, right? Which is not in our case, right? Certainly, whatever products I am buying this month, I can reduce it, I can change that. In B2C, there is no contractual agreement to purchase certain items from a certain company. But in B2B, it will be always a contractual agreement, at least for a 1 year. I'll not able to change suddenly. Examine competitors'
Sir,
price. Yeah.
sir, but if you consider natural disaster, then it is the exceptional cases for B2B business as well. So in that case, they will consider that yes, for this year we can manage, or they are going to end that contract.
Can you please repeat your question?
So for special cases like natural disasters and disasters like COVID situation, if
Uh,
Maruti company is not fulfilling their demand of purchasing
See, at the end,
tires
if it
means,
is written in the contract, so that is where if somebody into purchase manager or a procurement manager role, he has to have those kind of legal knowledge. If you have not put into that contract, if you say that, okay, in case of national calamities, so there is a clause called force majeure, act of God. If I have written that in the contract that, so these conditions will not remain valid in case of force majeure, in case of any act of God, then obviously I can always claim that, okay, this clause was written in the contract, so I can decrease the number of quantity. But if you have not written in the contract, if it is not in the purchase order, you cannot reduce.
sir,
You can put.
now the situation where semiconductor quantity is less,
Yeah.
and it is a long-term problem, like from 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
So in that case, they have no knowledge that they are not going to get that much of semiconductors. So this is not a natural disaster, but this is a external factor. So in these cases, special cases, uh, what should be the approach? Whether they are going to
See, at the end, if it
uh,
is it is not in the semiconductor industry, it is a raw material issue. So all the companies are facing, starting from AMD, Intel, all the companies are facing the same issue, right?
yes.
Again, if somebody was right, kind of clairvoyant enough to write these kind of clauses, no matter what happens, will not able to reduce the supply to my company. In case the supply to my company is affected, I'll like deduct 10 percentage, 5 percentage of the total purchase order value, right? So you can get a short term relief of that. But if it is nothing is written, again based upon how you negotiate with your vendor or supplier, right? So it is not always like this kind of situation. Nobody can anticipate, right? COVID, nobody was able to anticipate. If somebody has anticipated, not obviously COVID, but something like this kind of natural disasters and put on the clause, right? They can get a relief. Legally, they are bound to kind of get that relief. But if not, if I'm not mentioned in the clause or the purchase order, nobody can help. You will make that loss.
Okay.
So examine competitor prices and strategies. So the point what I'm trying to make is it is not only a single factor which you're looking into and setting your prices. It has to come from a different angles, right? Looking from the customer end, looking from the cost side, from your manufacturing setup, looking from the competitor side. And each of them, if you look into, if I'm looking into the customer side, right, and setting my prices, and that is the most important aspect. That is something known as value-based pricing. If I'm looking into the cost side, right, and putting a markup on that and putting my final price, that is cost-based pricing. If I'm looking into competitor price and setting my prices, right, then it is a competitor-based pricing, right? Either way you will have to look into all the factors. So I cannot go into and say, okay, competitors are selling at these prices, I'll sell at these prices. But if I'm manufacturing setup is such that I'm not able to produce the product in at that price. Think about simple example of oil refineries. They're selling at, let's say, 100 rupees or 105 rupees petrol. But let's say I'm a new, I put a lot of investment, I'm putting a new oil refinery. I do not have that technology. Producing the oil itself is costly. Importing is costly. I do not have good network, do not have a good logistics partner. So final cost itself is 90 to 100 rupees. So if I'm just looking into the competitor side that, okay, I'll sell petrol or diesel at 105 rupees, it won't be possible. Same thing with any kind of product you can think of. So whenever you are setting up prices, though there are different price setups, cost plus markup, cost based pricing, competitor based or value based, there is something called dynamic pricing. Most of the companies try to look into all the aspects, right? It is not never possible that, okay, I'll only go through the competitor based, I'll only go through the cost based, or I'll go only through the value based. Though we read or study that separately, it always happens that whenever marketing executives or the marketing directors sit together and decide on the pricing, right, they look into all these factors. Cost based, because the plant manager or the manufacturing person will be there and setting that, okay, our manufacturing prices cannot go below that, right? There will be procurement managers who will tell that, no, I have already discussed with my vendors, they cannot reduce prices, so we have to sell at this point of price only. Then your competitor, suddenly competitors have reduced their prices, so same year you cannot go with the same prices, right? You have to look into competitor prices. Then what is the demand from the customers end? Suddenly COVID happened, lot of people have lost their job, demand has decreased. So you will not able to look into the same value what a customer was looking into it now, right? Customers are moving to the basic necessities. So that time if you are selling it a luxury product in the same price, it might be again a challenging, right? So always remember, prices, fixing prices or setting prices has to look into all those three aspects. So pricing objectives. So this is the something which I was discussing: achieving target return on investment, achieving market share goal, or beating competition. Right. So on what basis you are like kind of setting your prices? What is your pricing or marketing objective? Right. It is just that, okay, I have invested this much amount of money in my manufacturing plant or in my employee cost. I want to get that investment. As long as I'm returning that, I'm getting that amount of money, I'm okay with that. Or it is, I need to price, I can make a loss. I'll take a loss for next 1 to 2 years, but I need to gain certain market share. Unless I have a reach on the market share, nobody will know me, right? So that's why many new companies do that, right? So they start giving products for free. So it is they're losing their market. Look into all those software as a service startups. So initial all the HR softwares or supply chain softwares for 6 months or 9 months or 1 year, even they'll give those products on free. So it is not that they are losing. So basically they are losing money because there are employees, there are software developers who are working to maintain that software, maintain that product. But still, at least unless they start buying, people using that, they'll never get a market share, right? So that is where you have to decide. Even then you are making loss, you have to go and you, because your objective is to gain market share or meeting competition. Like I said, suddenly competitors have increased the prices or decrease the prices. You have to be dynamic enough to change your prices, right? So same companies, like I was giving that example, these are the two process oriented companies, DuPont and Dow Chemicals. Dow Chemicals are basically same chemicals, again different patents, different technology. Dow Chemicals is kind of a premium product. They'll tell their pricing objective is that wherever they sell, they'll sell the only premium product. They'll get around 5% or 10% of the market, but they'll charge a lot of premium on that, right? So that is their objective. Wherever they sell, whichever chemicals they'll sell, so they'll be the premium player in that market. DuPont is opposite. DuPont is, I'll get into all the market. Premium, less than, I'll make a loss sometimes to get a market entry, but I have to be there in all the market. I need not be the market leader, but I need to be the into all the market, right? So both the companies, same industry, but they have a different set of different pricing objective, right? Again, like in all the industries, we'll find this kind of examples. We will discuss in detail in value-based pricing today. Competitor-based pricing, you set up your prices according to your competitors. Cost-based, I, let's say, think about a software product, right? So I have developed this software on this many employees. I've developed this software. These are the additional cost. Then each month or each year, when I'm maintaining that software, maintaining that application, right? How much cost? Think about a simple supply chain software if I'm developing, right? To track your product. So I'll sell it to these small manufacturers, and I have developed a supply chain software. So how I'm going to kind of price that product? So we'll start with the cost plus. So what we'll say, I'll go get into how much cost I incurred to develop that software. Let's say that was 100 software developers working for 6 months. So that was the cost. Then each year, let's say I'm going to sell 10 licenses or 20 licenses or 50 licenses, right? So accordingly, let's say I have the total cost of development was around 50 lakh rupees, right? Then I know that each year to maintain that software, I have to again, I'll have the software developers, software coders will be, then business analysts who will be working with me. That itself is again, each year it's around 1 crore or 2 crores of employee cost. Apart from that, additional renting, electricity, your hardware cost, altogether is, let's say, 5 crore rupees to maintain that. Then you have developed that software. Very few software developers develop that software at a 50 lakh rupees cost. Now the challenge is how you are going to cost that product, right? So if I just go by the cost based, so 50 lakh rupees, it was the development cost. Then each year I am, that is my variable cost to maintain that software, right? Around 5 crore of rupees, right? And 50 lakhs I can distribute, let's say, for next 5 years. So each year it is 10 lakhs. So 10 lakhs of fixed cost. So think about manufacturing setup, whatever of plant and all those things. This is I'm taking as my development cost. 10 lakhs of your fixed cost each year I need to recover, and 5 crores of my variable cost. So if I go by my cost based markup, each year I need to get at least 5.1 crore, right? If I'm selling 100 licenses, 1000 licenses without any markup, at least I have to sell those each license at a 5 lakh rupees, 5.1 lakh rupees. On that, how much markup I'm getting? So if for each license I get 10% markup, 20% markup, so my prices will be around 5.1 lakh into 20%, so that is around another 1.1. So I'll sell it around 6.3 lakhs. So that is where I just discussed my development cost, maintenance cost of that software or that application. Then accordingly, so that is the at least the starting point. That is my goal. So I'm not going to, again, because it is a B2B, right? Each customer will have different requirements. Some customer will say, okay, I'll take only 10 licenses. Some customers is a big kind of a many warehouses across different states. They'll take 50 licenses, right? So my prices will vary. but at least I'll not go below that, because I know that if I go below that, I'm going to make a loss. Then so once I know that that is from the cost side, I'll get into the competitor side. So in India, how many companies are there who are selling that kind of software, and what are the features they are providing, at what price they are selling. Once I look into that, and I'll get to know that okay, there are people who are selling that same software license for 10 lakh per year. There are companies who are selling at 1 lakh also. Then I'll compare my features, my product, because when I go and sell, my selling a salesperson goes there and try to make a sales speech. The first question they will ask that, "Arey, I can get that for 1 lakh rupees. You are charging me 6.3 lakhs." So then I have to compare that. Okay, no. So these are the things which the other competitor is not giving. These are the things which will additionally I'll provide, right? So that is where your competitor base. So competitor benchmarking on cost side has to happen. Pricing side has to happen. Then now I'll go to the value based. Value based pricing. Always remember, for each customer, same software. If I'm selling it to Amazon, how much value they're extracting out of that software, how much important that software is for the Amazon's warehouses or supply chain management, will be different than for a agricultural supplier, a small farmer, or a, let's say, ITC. If I'm selling for their supply chain, it will be completely different, the value they get from the same software. And that is where I'll do a value based pricing. I'll say that okay, so these are the additional advantages, these are the additional profit you will get, these are the additional cost saving you will get out of this software, and I have to show that calculation. So I cannot just go with my assumptions and say that okay, so that's why I'm charging you that. So that is I'll show you the calculation steps. And value based pricing has to happen for each customer. I have to show that okay, these are the advantages you are getting, right? Then at the end, there is something called dynamic. Dynamic is your prices will vary across states, across your demand factors, right? Suddenly your COVID happened, right? So you cannot, like I said, you cannot charge the same prices. Your prices has to come down. The demand has decreased, or some area your competitor has increased their prices, or competitor have decreased their prices. You're not able to remain. So most of the aspect which you look at in dynamic pricing is applicable looking into those 6 or 7 factors we'll discuss in the first or second slide. Right? So this is something if you have that pricing software, all the inputs depending upon the inflation rate, depending upon the forecast for the next year, depending upon the cost factors, prices for each segment will keep changing, right? So that is where your dynamic pricing. So most of the companies are, but the problem is you need to have a sophisticated software for that, right? Manually doing dynamic pricing without those kind of softwares, without those kind of algorithms, is not feasible, right? So, so this is somewhere know the difference between price setting and price getting. Price setting is something a company is set, right? But it is not there. So that is what, if you remember, that's what we discussed in the in the first slide. So from the company side, I can say that that is my wish list. Okay, these are the prices. Whenever I'm say talking about cost pricing, competitor based, your value based pricing, that is something uh, which is my wish list. Okay, this is the prices I should get. But what actually I get in the reality after finalization of the uh, order with the vendor customer, that will be completely different. So that is somewhere you get the price realizations or price getting. Price orientation or price setting is that how am I deciding at what price I'm going to sell my products or services to customer. So those are the processes what we are discussing: cost plus markup, or competitor based, or value based, right? But whether I'm able to get the prices what I have set, right? So that is the price realization or price setting, and both are different. That is my wish list, that okay, I'll sell this software at 6.3 lakhs or 6.5 lakhs. But when for each customer, when I'm going to negotiate, my sales people are going to negotiate. For each customer, they will finalize at a different prices. And that is where your capability of salespeople, negotiating power of salespeople, your sales processes, how well your customer relationship management is maintained, how well you have done your market research matters, right? So that is where how much price you get. So this is the best position, pricing power zone. because I have done with the customer value based pricing. I'm giving the maximum price I can get from that market, and my price realization is strong. So this x-axis which show that the capability in my company to get the prices. Get the prices means whatever I am claiming to that market, which I'm able to get. So if I take the same software case. So when I've decided that okay, Amazon like company or Flipkart like company, the value they are getting for using that software per single license is around 10 lakh rupees. If I can prove that, right? So my prices is around here. Price orientation, I'm charging around 10 lakh rupees. But whether I'm able to get that 10 lakh rupees, if I'm able to get that 10 lakh rupees, so I am here in pricing power zone. Everything is good. So I'm able to maximize, optimize my pricing. So that is known as price optimization. And I'm able to get that also. I'm able to set price perfectly. I'm able to get prices perfectly. So that is pricing power zone. Exactly opposite is that white flag zone. It is basically surrender. I'm not able to set my prices. I do not have resources. I do not have marketing managers. I do not have capability to set prices. So I'll go by the simpler rule. Okay, manufacturing cost is this much. I'll only charge this much. I'll take a discount. I'll take a margin of 10% or 5%. I do not have market research capabilities. I do not have resource persons who can go and study the market, right? So whatever I'm getting, like, and most of the smaller companies do that mistake. Because see, most of these component manufacturers, they will be in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Only one thousand or 10,000 square feet of assembly line, and they are going to sell their product, right? And that is
Sir,
where, yeah.
sir, there is also another pricing. I think that is bundle pricing.
Bundle pricing is when you are selling. So that is not a pricing setup strategy, right? So that is when you are selling at the end, right? So that is mostly your promotional activities will come. So I'll bundle my products another with certain services, certain kind of another product. So you go to a Reliance Retail along with your one product
I
deodorant, you will get a small soap, or along with your let's say yes phone also, right? Along with phone, if you get these accessories, you will additionally pay $10 or $20 or $50, right? So that is
yes,
how you kind of at the end your sales strategy work. But how you set the prices of that phone, how you set that price of that accessory, that charger or that box, right? So that is what we're talking about, the pricing setup, right? Then how you sell, there are again how much discount you provide. It can be 1+1, it can be 50% on the other product. Buy one product, you get 50% discount on other product. Or if you buy it, like most of the software companies do that. If you buy 100 license of this software, I'll give a free maintenance for next 2 years. Right. So that is your sales strategy. So that is where you are not setting your price. Your price is already set up. For each license, how much I'm going to charge. So that you have to decide. Then once you understand that okay, customer is not pinching, so the how you negotiate, and at the end you are able to sell that software or sell that product, right?
yes, sir.
So next is value surrender zone, where I have good pricing setup strategy. I have gone through all the processes, cost based, competitor based. Now I'm at the end, customer value based pricing. But my sales people are not good negotiators. They are new, they are raw, they do not have that much negotiating power or bargaining power, and they are losing this market. Because I have set up that price that okay, I'll go and now I'll ask Amazon or Flipkart 10 lakh per license. But when I go and try to negotiate, I'm not able to negotiate properly. So they show their power. They show that okay, we are going to buy 1,000 licenses. Yeah, I'll not go beyond 6 lakhs rupees, right? And I'm not able to sell that product, which I believe that will have it. At least I can sell it at 10 lakh or 8 lakh rupees. Now I'm selling at 6 lakh rupees. So this is where you are surrendering the value surrender zone. You set up prices correctly, so you're setting up prices correctly, but realization is very weak, right? Then other end is you have very good salespeople, right? Your pricing strategy is very poor. You just go by the cost plus markup, right? You do not do a market research, you do not do a competitive study. You just go by how much cost your manufacturing setup and plus price. But you have excellent salespeople. Whatever you claim, okay, I want to sell at 6.3 lakh this product because my cost price is 5.1 lakhs and I want to get 20% margin. 6.3 lakh means my salespeople are kind of great. They'll go and they'll get me around 6.3 to 6.5 lakh. So my setup strategy is very poor, right? I'm just quoting it 20% margin where I could have gone a 100% margin. But my salespeople, because their capabilities and skill sets, they're able to get that. So that is a price capture zone. All the companies try to be here, price power zone, but most of the times they get into the central zone, right? Where like kind of they obviously, because see, it is very difficult to very in competitive market to get the prices which you are setting, right? Ideal position will be pricing power zone. You set the prices perfectly, value based pricing, the maximum margin you can get, and you have excellent salespeople to get that, setting prices and getting that. But most of the times you'll be falling into zone of good intentions, right? It is a win-win situation for both the. So rather than selling that 10 lakh product, you'll get sell that at 8 lakhs. So this is the negotiation, or this is a kind of a compromise which you do. Right? You fall into this zone of good intentions. Any question on this slide? Okay. So now, what do you mean by value-based pricing, right? Like I said, so this is how you calculate value in use. You will, I'll show that in the next slide. So you, as a company, you do a market research, find out that by using that product, by using that software, by using that services, how much value that customer is getting, right? A certain kind of value is commodity value, right? Think about this laptop, right? Uh, Certain will be daily usage, right? Every competitor, everybody is doing that, right? How fast that laptop should open, right? How quickly, how much battery backup is there, right? So these are certain which is very standardized, commodized now. So you cannot go below that. So that is the commodity value which everybody is giving. So that is a, at least industry standard, right? So right now, if you see battery backup is around almost all the laptops on an average 2.5 to 3 hours, right? So that is the commodity value. If I'm looking to that value only. But let's say I create a laptop which is giving another 5 hours of additional backup. So that becomes my differentiated value, right? So that is the additional value as a company I'm providing only on the battery backup. Similarly, on the your hardware malfunction or your crashing, right? If your laptop crashes, most of your data, most of your kind of work will be lost, right? If there is a kind of a most of the companies once a year or twice a year there is a laptop crash or something is happening, some problem is happening, but I am able to create a better product which have a better reliability than other kind of laptop manufacturers. So that is the differentiated value, right? So these total should define my how much I should I'm going to negotiate with the customer, right? Think about that software which I'm talking about. Software cost, total cost to manufacture or build that software and maintain that software is 5.1 lakh per license. But once that person or once that company is using that software, how much cost they will save on scheduling, how much cost they will save on like kind of transportation, how much cost they will save on forecasting errors if they are able to reduce the forecasting errors. So if my software is able to properly forecast and forecast error is reduced by 5%, so that is a huge saving for that company, right? So these are the differentiate value which I'm providing to that company. But for that, I have to do a market research. I have to understand what are the advantages if that company is going to use my product. Then only I can monetize it. When I say that these are the monetization, you have to say that, okay, by getting this accept or feature of the product, you are getting this much value, right? Then obviously the perceived value of the customers will be less. So that is where your negotiating power of your salespeople come. So let's say for that software, I say that my competitor, what they're providing, anyhow I'm providing. So that is around 3 lakhs of rupees. But additional value which I'm providing by when you use my software, these are the savings you are getting. So your forecast error will come down by 5%. Your transportation efficiency will increase by 10%. Your warehousing efficiency or usage of warehouse will increase by 5%, right? And all together, I'll show them the calculation that okay, this is around 7 lakhs per year per license. So that's why I'm charging you 10 lakh. But obviously, the company is not going to agree, right? So this is where perceived value. So this is what they believe in their mind. And obviously, remember that. So this is something they're not going to talk to you. They're always going to pay less than that. So in that, they'll once you show them that presentation, they'll say that ये तो बकवास कर रहा है. I don't think that much savings, but yes, I believe that there will be certain savings. It will be around not 7 lakhs, maybe 4 or 5 lakhs. So ideally, they should charge the 7 to 8 lakhs. But that is something they're not going to talk to you. So that is the perceived value. That is which is in the back of their mind. How much their willingness to pay, because the willingness to pay is again dependent on what is their finance capabilities. It is a small company or a big company, right? That will be decided by the financing managers, finance managers, right? And that will be always most of the times less than the perceived value. It won't happen that okay, I perceive value as 7 lakhs and I'll pay you 8 lakhs. It will be always that if I perceive value of 7 or 8 lakhs, I'll pay you around 6.5 lakhs. So see the struggle or the challenges as a salesperson you face. You go with a value in huge, you show the all the calculation, right? These are the economic values, right? Perceived value which a customer perceives. Whatever they perceive, they are going to pay less than that. That is their willingness to pay. So you come with a 10 lakh value, they perceive it as 8 or 7 lakhs, and they are willing to pay around 6 or 6.5 lakhs. So this is where if you are able to drag them out from this small box, the lowest uh, column to the highest column, that is where your skill set. So that is where that graph was showing. You are setting a price, but are you able to get that price from the market? That is where your skill set of a salesperson will be there. How much detailed calculation you are able to show, right? So rather than going through this theory, I'll come back to that. Let me show you through an example how basically it can be done. Okay. Think about air conditioner systems, right? I'm selling it to different universities, right? So 250 ton. So normal calculation, if I go by the normal standard, I think the same example we have discussed earlier. 1 ton is around 20,000 rupees, right? Normal cost plus few margin. So 20,000 multiplied by 250, it is around 50,000 is my kind of next best competitive alternative, right? This is what is a who is my biggest competitor, who is like kind of I'm competing with. They're selling it at a 50,000, sorry, 50 lakh rupees, right? A 250-ton HVAC air conditioning, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, right? All of these big malls, universities do not have this. They have a centralized air conditioning system, right? So that is where this kind of big. So in our homes, what we use 1 ton, 1.5 ton, 2 ton. But whenever you talk about the centralized air conditioning system, minimum 200 ton it starts, right? So you have these big systems which are used in like let's say movie halls, auditoriums, your libraries. Let's say for a similar system, my competitor prices is around 50 lakhs, right? So that is my next best competitive alternative. I start with that. Then now what is the value I'm going to provide? So that is the additional value I have to show the calculation. Due to remote monitoring, fewer shutdown and maintenance resource, right? So how will I calculate? I'll say that every time what used to happen, there is a power failure or there is a decrease in this ventilation capacities. So you used to like have an annual maintenance contract. Those people will come and charge you a certain amount of money. So with our product, you need not have to worry about that. We'll remotely monitor the product anytime any problem we anticipate, predict, right? So our maintenance team will go and rectify that issue. You need not have to worry about any problem, right? So there is no need that okay, the air conditioning is not working and you have to call us. We guarantee you that 99%, 99% time we'll be able to rectify any issues on advance, right? So that is the value I'm providing to that guy. So that is where I'll show my calculation and say that you will save around 3 lakh rupees because your annual maintenance contract on those competitors are charging 3 lakh rupees. With my system, you need not have to pay me anything. I'll kind of maintain that for you, right? So that is the savings you are getting around 3 lakh rupees. Then my air conditioning system have a better noise reducing capabilities, right? So normally if you are using my competitors, they are around 52 decibels or 56 decibels. With my product you will get a 46 to 48 decibels. So again it depends upon whom I'm selling. If I'm selling it to a metro station, noise will not be a selling criteria, right? Because metro station already it is noisy, right? So nobody looks into the AC noise. But if it is a hospital ICU room, so if I'm selling the same product to a hospital, so I can show this that okay, improved ventilation. So I have a 2. ppm 2.5 filter which have improved ventilation. So it will filter all the kind of dust particles and viruses, right, from the air. So the air will be much more cleaner than my competitor, right? So for the colleges, for the classrooms, for the hospital rooms, I can sell this. So that is my selling proposition. So that is the value proposition which is better than my competitor, right? Then I have to calculate something, say that okay, why I will get this value 2 lakhs, right? So my competitor's product is around 50 lakh. I'm giving you this additional values, additional features, so that is around 3.2 lakhs. But because my system will have certain additional component, so most of the this, so whenever you have this bigger air conditioning system, there is something called AHU, air handling unit, right? So AHU, so those will be in a room, right, nearby this all this server, wherever they have server, they will have this air handling rooms. Because I have a bigger machine, bigger conditioning kind of air handling unit, you have to give me additional space, right? So that is actually a problem for a company because see, space is costly in any kind of setup, whether it is a big university or hospital, right? Finding a space to keep all these machines, right, is difficult. So for to remote monitor, I need this kind of setup. I need around 100 square feet or 200 square feet of area, right? So that is a negative part, negative thing to that customer. So that what is the cost for that? Because that is the rental space, then electricity, that room setup has to be there. So per year, let's say that is a cost to customer is 2.5 lakhs, right? So now what will be my differential value which I'm producing? So I'm providing certain additional benefits to customer, right? So additional value to the customer. 3 lakhs plus 2 lakhs, 5 lakh. Obviously, there are certain in comparison to my competitor. Competitor is taking to keep air handling unit around 100 square feet. I am I to keep my air handling unit. The customer has to give me a 150 square feet room or a 200 square feet room, which is a loss to a customer, right? Customer is losing that space, right? So that is a negative part. So around 2.5 lakh. So this is the additional value which I'm giving to customer. So ideally, what should charge 52.5 lakh. So this is how you calculate your value-based pricing. How much additional value you are providing to your customer, right? And compared to your next best competitive alternative. So this is known as NBCA. So look into your next best competitive alternative. If you are the market leader, the second person in the row. If you are the not the market leader, obviously the market leader you have to look up to, right? If you have the market leader, then you have to look in the second guy, whoever is the second leader. Then revenue increase for customer. So the value can be different type, right? So using like that software which I was telling, by using that software, the Amazon warehouses might be cost improvement, reducing the cost, right? So these are the additional value I'm providing to the customer, or emotional benefits, right? Noise reduction. So air conditioner, wherever you go in libraries and all those things, lot of noises. If I'm able to reduce that noises, that is a benefit to a customer, emotional benefit. So these are the additional values. What are the negative values? Additional cost for your solution. By implementing my solutions, are the company or the customer is going to get certain negative kind of like I told. By putting my air conditioning system, the customer is losing certain space, certain area, because they has to give me around 50 square feet or 100 square feet of area, right? So this is my total value which I'm providing to the customer, and accordingly I have to charge my customer. Accordingly, I can price my product, right? So this is something known as value-based pricing. Is it clear or any doubt on this? So the steps will be to find out the cost drivers or revenue drivers. Cost drivers, by using your product, what are the savings you are making to the customer? Revenue drivers are by using your product or services, each customer is gaining certain additional money, right? Quantify impact of firm's product, service, and customers' business model, right? So this is something very important. As a salesperson, you have to be able to quantify that, right? To put on some numbers, right? Because I cannot just make certain assumptions. Customer won't agree. So when I say that by using my system, you will 3 lakh rupees you will save. So I have to show that how I calculated that 3 lakh rupees, how I calculated that 2 lakh rupees, right? Compare firm's product services to the alternative next competitor product or service. Isolate unique features that differ from competitor. Do those features provide value that customer cannot get elsewhere? Because customer can always say that no, the other person is giving me free. What is unique there, right? So that is something again has to come from your market research. You have to. So that is where I said whenever you are doing value-based pricing, competitive-based pricing has to also happen. When you are looking into your competitors and how they price their product, how much value, final value, the product you create. Understand how customers use the product and how much value will or she realize. So that is where your perceived value will come, right? So this is what I'm claiming. Customer also will negotiate with me. No, whatever assumptions or whatever numbers you are showing is not correct. There will be obviously certain benefits, but your numbers are not sustainable. Then accordingly set the price and develop a responsive marketing strategy, right? So that is where your long-term kind of negotiation or long-term relationship build with the customer has to happen, right? So always remember in B2B it is a strategic decision to it is pricing is a strategic decision. It is not a short-term tactical decision. Most of the times strategy means long-term decision, right? Tactics means tactical means short-term decision. In B2B pricing in a strategic decision, it is a long-term decision. Okay. Any questions on this? So there is a class exercise which you need to complete by next week. So what you have to do? So let's say you have to price a video conferencing product. Let's say Zoom or Cisco's WebEx, right? So which is your next best competitive alternative? So I've given you not the competitors. Your next best competitive alternative is I'm going to sell this product to different sales people, different businesses. They basically used to travel. So let's say sales people are there in Mumbai or Delhi. Every year they used to make 10 or 12 trips or 5 trips, right? So that I have mentioned, right? Now as a company, I'm going to calculate that. So I want to replace. So by video conferencing, that company need not have to send their sales so many times, so many trips. So they'll save cost, their transportation cost, right? So that is one savings for the customer. So my whom I am competing with, their salespersons travel. So when Cisco actually did that for Cisco's WebEx 10 or 15 years back, so the video, the advertisement they saw next class when we discuss on the promotions, we'll see that. So that was that. So before COVID happened, before this kind of situation happened, right? So they started competing with because see, imagine if salespeople they will travel in premium or business class, the amount of money they spend. Now Cisco started claiming the interaction or the kind of whatever you negotiate with your customers will be in the same level without traveling to that space. So you'll save on transportation, you will save on lodging and boarding. There is something called carbon cost, carbon footprint, because anytime you are traveling, it is a carbon footprint you are putting on planet. You'll be able to save that. You can claim that I have reduced travel of my employees. Most of the companies show that. Bigger companies like IBM and Cisco, they show that okay, each year we are trying to reduce the carbon footprint on planet Earth. So that is the savings you can show, right? So I have also shown you a carbon footprint calculator. Let me just quickly show that. So this is your class exercise, video conferencing versus business travel, right? So what you are competing with, like I showed there, my competitor price is 50 lakh rupees. Now first what you have to do, you have to calculate how much a normal. So I've given you the information. For a small business, they are located out of Delhi. In a year, sales manager make a return trip to these many places: Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata, right? What is their cost, total travel cost? Then I have shown you this calculator, carbonfootprint.com. You can go there, click on the flights. For each flight you take, how much tonnage of carbon footprint, right? And for each tonnage, the cost is around 4,000 rupees, $50, right? So you can calculate the carbon footprint also, because this is something company can claim that okay, they are saving, they are improving. So that is something they can put on their investor report, annual report, that okay, this much travel they reduce, which is a saving of carbon footprint. This much tonnage of carbon footprint they reduce. So this is an advantage to a customer. So this you have to calculate and show that okay, by reducing travel, you are able to save this much of carbon footprint. So what is the cost you are saving? Then other taxi car travel, I have made certain assumptions, 2,500 rupees. Obviously, video conferencing will have certain issues. A lack of, let's say, internet connectivity goes away. Face-to-face interaction is always better rather than this kind of online interaction. So those are the negative aspects. So make your assumption to put certain cost for it. Then you calculate your, so I'm not just only into looking at the final number, how you are going to calculate it also, that is important. So make those calculations and show that what, how much price you are going to claim to that small business for putting a video conferencing setup.